Hello and welcome to Falcon's Ledge. I'm Ostringer, and today we're talking about the state of HOTAS in the high end for 2020. I know it's 2021, not 2020 anymore, but it's taken me a while to put this together, and I've had some technical difficulties that I've had to get over, so we're just going to complete this series, and, hopefully we'll be able to do it before the end of 2021 this year. As you may already know, HOTAS is hands-on throttle and stick. This control style has frequently been used in modern fighter aircraft, but in gaming it's often used with space sims as well. In fact, there's a lot of disagreement in some space sim groups whether or not HOTAS or HOSAS, or hands-on stick and stick, or dual stick as it's called, has any disadvantage or advantage over HOTAS. Spoiler, HOSAS does have an advantage, if only slightly. In this video, we'll be talking about the high end, the cream of the crop HOTAS solutions available today. All of the units in this roundup are above $450 MSRP, but because of the perfect storm of pandemic, low production output, and high demand, HOTAS prices are far above their MSRP values. With some luck, these prices will go back down once the pandemic passes. We'll start in third place, the venerable Thrustmaster Warthog HOTAS. I personally use this HOTAS, and for the last 2 years it has served me well. Introduced in 2010, the Warthog HOTAS is a replica of the famous A10 Warthog joystick and throttle quadrant, as well as some of the switches and things below the throttle. Though the Warthog is starting to show its age, this HOTAS can still perform against its industry rivals. The Warthog stick utilizes a cup and ball style gimbal, which is fairly rare in modern joysticks. In fact, I don't know of a single joystick that uses this type of gimbal except for the Warthog. It utilizes a single 3D 16-bit Hall sensor. Warthog grips are all metal, are solid, and quite heavy. The grip can be removed, and currently there are two options for grips, the A10/F16 stick, which are identical and feature one 8-way POV hat, two 8-way hat switches, one 4-way hat with push, a metal dual-stage trigger, 3 buttons, and a lever that works as a button. The Warthog base can also mount Virpil grips, though when using a Virpil grip there are some limitations due to the Warthog base not having the availability of additional functions or axes. The Warthog HOTAS throttle is a very solid and very heavy piece, and I really do mean heavy. It weighs 14 pounds. This throttle is so heavy that my desk mount clamp for the throttle crushed my IKEA desk. Swede 0, Warthog 1. The Warthog throttle is a very versatile piece of hardware though. It has 5 2-way switches, 3 3-way switches on the base, with various functionality, 1 3-way flap switch, 2 buttons, and an axis. The throttle features 2 independent throttle axes that can be locked together using a bolt-action-like lever on the front of the throttles. The throttles utilize 3D Hall sensors. The handles feature a slew nub, for the lack of a better term, 1 8-way hat, a 4-way hat, 4 3-position switches of various types, and a button. Probably the biggest plus for the Warthog is its sensor. Something that, when it came out in 2010, was unparalleled in the industry. The Warthog uses a single spring to provide resistance. This single spring ball-in-socket gimbal provides fluid movement with consistent resistance in all directions. Though the Warthog stick can be used with an extension, and many are available, it is not specifically designed for it, and doing so may require an upgrade to the spring to provide adequate resistance. The stick is of all-metal construction, and the buttons and trigger have a very high-quality feel to them. The extensive use of the Warthog by many enthusiasts have exposed a few weaknesses in the design of the gimbal and the stem of the stick that attaches to the grip to the base. Common issues with the Warthog gimbal would be stiction in the gimbal due to the breaking down of lubrication over time and the imperfections on the ball and/or socket. This problem can be corrected with some effort and new grease. There are also issues with the stick centering system, which can result in a loose feeling and the ability to twist the stick in the socket. This problem requires replacement parts to repair. The Warthog throttle is extremely solid and generally performs well. The throttle axes are smooth and feel good to operate. They can have their resistance adjusted by a roller in the front of the throttle. The switches and the axis feel like they are of high quality and have good feedback on use. The only issue that I've run into with the throttle is that the three-way pinky switch on the left side of the quadrant has a smaller base and tends to wear out much faster than the other switches on the stick. In addition, it's in a funny place, and if moving around the stick it can get bumped and damage it. The slew nub on the throttle leave much to be desired. It is very inaccurate, difficult to use, and has very little throw. There is a fix for this particular issue. Delta Sim offers an analog stick upgrade for the Warthog throttle, and I highly recommend it. If Thrustmaster wants to continue to compete in the high-end category, they are in dire need for an update on this platform. Systems like analog sticks, full metal gimbals, lighting, and more modern programming software are all big recommendations for what is hopefully Thrustmaster's next generation of sticks. In second place, we have a newcomer in the high-end HOTAS market, Winwing. And by newcomer, I really mean it. Winwing started shipping out their first entrants into this market in early 2019. The Winwing Super Libra and Taurus are replicas of the US Navy and USMC F-18 Hornet. With an all-metal build, dual springs, and dual cams per axis with adjustable pretensioners. The gimbal is of an all-metal design. Winwing claims to have zero dead zone and a 16-bit Hall sensor for both the stick and the throttle. The stick has swappable springs and cams. It can be used both on the desk and also on its proprietary mount. The Super Taurus F-18 stick is made of all metal and has a dual-stage trigger, a button, and a paddle switch on the front of the stick. It has four four-way hats with push, a button, and a mini four-way hat with push on the face. Winwing offers an adapter to allow their stick to utilize Thrustmaster Warthog or Cougar grips, and theoretically, Virpil sticks as well. The throttle, which is also made of all metal and separates into two axes, has a plethora of functions. On the stick there are two four-way hats with push, a three-way switch, and a button on the side. There's an analog stick, an auto-centering wheel, two buttons, and a three-way switch on the face of the throttle. But that's not where the throttle's functionality ends. On the base there are seven two-way switches, 6 non-auto-centering three-way switches, 1 4-position rotary, and 1 three-way with single-way auto-center. The whole base has adjustable green backlighting. The HOTAS also has finger lifts built in with detents for both idle and afterburner, as well as adjustments for tension. This is a HOTAS I would love to test, not because I have any preconceived notions about how good it is, but rather because it is taking a bit of a different approach to their designs from an engineering perspective. The gimbal design, though it uses a similar design to the Warbird crossed with the Gunfighter Mark III design, it has some fairly considerable variation in how the cams interface with the axis bearings. The throttle has a very long throw, which is why it is so tall. This larger throw is more similar to the throttles of a real F-18. Larger throws mean that there's more precision, in the same way that your joystick is more precise than a thumbstick. Winwing seems to have their hearts in the right place, so to speak, and they seem to desire to make very high-quality components, but they have yet to prove themselves in this very competitive industry. And the winner of the 2020 Falcon Sledge State of HOTAS is the Virpil Mongoose T50 CM2 base and the Mongoose T50 CM3 throttle. With a variety of grips, from the Warbird grip, roughly designed after the early US jet grips, to the VFX grip, a F-14 Tomcat-like grip, the Constellation Alpha that we spoke about in the recent State of HOSAS 2020 video, and the original Virpil Mongoose T50 CM2 grip, which is loosely based on Russian fighter jet grips. For this roundup, we will use the Mongoose T50 CM2 grip, since it is the original stick from Virpil. The Virpil Mongoose T50 CM2 base is designed for use with mounts only, which Virpil offers as well. The gimbal is of all-metal design, with a single cam and spring. The gimbal can have its axis preloaded, altered from the outside of the base. The gimbal is able to mount any grip in the Virpil catalog in addition to the Thrustmaster grips from the Warthog and Cougar. The Mongoose T50 CM2 grip is of high-quality plastic design and is the tallest stick in our roundup. It is not designed to be used on a desktop, as it could be fairly uncomfortable reaching so high to use it in this manner. It has a single dual-stage trigger, a flip-down trigger, which has activation both when pulled and another when flipped up. It has 4 momentary buttons, 3 4-way hats with push, and 1 8-way POV hat with push, a 2-way with push hat, and an analog axis brake lever. The Mongoose T50 CM3 throttle has gone quickly through several iterations and changes in only a few short years. In the latest incarnation, the Mongoose T50 throttle is a dual-axis throttle that can be linked together like others on this list. The throttle base, 3 momentary 3-way toggle switches, 4 2-way switches, a single 5-way mode dial, 2 encoders with push, and an auxiliary axis. The throttle handles have a very large variety of controls, including 1 8-way hat with push, 3 4-way hats with push, 1 2-way hat with push, an encoder dial, a single encoder dial with push, 4 momentary push buttons, a slider axis, and a single analog mini stick. The throttle includes finger lifts that were added to the CM3 version of the stick, and includes several detent sets to give finger lifts different options. This expands the Virpil throttle to have features that are not available to its competition without modification. The Virpil HOTAS is the quintessential HOTAS to have for any flight or space sim. If you are a flight sim guy who enjoys Russian jets, use the Mongoose grip. If you're a space sim guy, use the Constellation Alpha. If you're a Phoenix-slinging Tomcat maniac in DCS, buy the VFX grip. The sky is really the limit. Once again, VKB gets relegated to the honorable mention section. The VKB Gunfighter Mark III and MCG grip has many great features that are shared with some of the top sticks in this roundup, like adjustable stick tension, like the Windwing offering, for example, and an Eastern Bloc style grip, like the Virpil solution, or a space grip, like the Cosmosema that competes directly with the Constellation Alpha. What this setup is missing is a throttle. After all, you can't be a HOTAS without the T. The TECS, or TEX throttle, looks very promising, being of similar modular design that has been demonstrated with many of VKB's recent offerings. I really hope that this throttle comes out this year, and it is rumored to be doing so, but it's also been rumored to be coming out soon since 2017. So hopefully that comes out this year so we can include it in the 2020 roundup. Remember that we're giving away a Star Citizen startup ship with game package when we hit 500 subscribers. All you need to do is be subscribed when we do the drawing and comment on each video. A random video from the channel in 2020 up to that point of the drawing will be randomly selected, and then a random comment will be selected from the randomly selected video, and that comment will win the prize. In addition to that, I will also be releasing my first of many sim hardware reviews soon, so stay tuned. I had a great time making these roundups this year, and I'm really excited to see what this year brings in the HOTAS world. Please subscribe if you'd like to help the channel. Please leave a comment in the comment section down below if you have any suggestions, or if you just want to get in on that free ship deal. And I hope that you have a great day.